NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says AI will create more millionaires in the next 5 years than the internet did in 20. Are you going to get in on this gold rush? This is the Idea to Exit podcast with Matt Ganzak.
Welcome back. This is the Idea to Exit podcast. My name is Matt Ganzak. I had a couple people message from the first 3 episodes that we did, kind of asking, can you explain the process a little bit better on how you take an idea all the way through to an exit? I'm going to do you one better. We're going to talk about some of the issues that you're going to run into as you're going from having an idea, which I'm always coming across people. We went out this weekend and there was literally like 3 people like, oh, I got this software idea. I don't know where to get started. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the pains that you're going to have as you are building it and as you are going to scale it, and some of those setbacks you're going to have, and a few of the roads and opportunities that might diverge as you go forward. So let's talk about it. Most of the time, it all starts with an idea. It all starts with, hey, I have this idea to build something, or I wish this thing existed, or it really depends on the point of view, because if you run an existing business, you might be looking for a solution to solve a problem inside your existing business. If you're on the outside looking in, perhaps it's a consumer product or a business product that you've thought about creating and you don't really know where to get started. That's fine. You're in a place that we all go through. Me personally, I was in this place where I didn't know how to hire somebody. I didn't know where to get started. And I wasted a lot of money trying to get software ventures up and going, and hiring the wrong people, not understanding how to explain what it was that I wanted very well. And that's really where the beginning of this happens, is not being able to explain what it is and what your vision is. And all too often, we end up getting shut down at that early stage, because it might be a great idea, or maybe you just don't know how to articulate that. So, like many things that we've talked about, let's leverage the tools. Let's leverage those tools that are available to us, like ChatGPT, and let's validate that idea, and let's move through that idea a little bit better to get a little bit further down the road. So you start with an idea. What you want to do is structure that idea to problem, solution, and who this is for, and then who the competition is of that product or of that thing of which you're trying to solve. So if they don't choose your product, let's hypothetically say it's already built, what other options do they have, and what other options are they selecting instead of your solution or your product that you're creating? So that's the first step, right? Is to understand who this is for. And it doesn't matter if this is a consumer product, like something to help with weight loss, something to help with tracking calories, something to help with prioritizing your day, something to help with managing your kids or managing their education or managing communication with family. It really doesn't matter what it is. You have to define a person. You can't just say this is for everybody. You have to drill down. This is for business owners that are struggling with this problem, and this is how we solve that problem. You have to drill down. And that's one of the first problems that I see with businesses, even going back to Apple or IBM, or even these first startup companies. They seriously defined who their first customer was. Now, Apple products, just about everyone owns an Apple product at this point. Yeah, they've covered a huge market, but they solved the problem for a specific niche, for a specific customer, and then they grew out from there with their product line. So you have to think about, this is going to be really hard to break into. If you're trying to break into every market at one time, it's going to be really expensive. Let's go ahead and say it's going to cost you $1 million to break into one market and have a $10 million a year business. So if you're trying to break into 10 different markets with your attention split between 10 markets, that could cost $10 million for you to break into that market. And perhaps you barely make break even or make less than break even because you focused on too many things and you didn't focus on the one thing. So we're going to use ChatGPT to identify where the easiest markets are to break into with your problem solution and the product that you're creating. So this is the idea. So we're going to draft the idea. We're going to go through ChatGPT and we're going to really refine that. And what I like to do is I like to press ChatGPT to say like, hey, this is my idea and I want to validate this. And then it's going to say, ooh, that's a great idea. And then I say, what are the challenges of doing this idea? Who's the customer I'm targeting? Now, is that a hard customer base to target? What are some other easier customer bases to break into? So you're going to challenge it. You're going to challenge that thread and you're going to push it harder and harder and harder to get to the point that you have something that's more refined that you can start building. Now, the next step is, what is the fastest way to get a prototype online? I would like to get a prototype online in days or hours, not weeks or months. Now you're forcing it to think to move faster. And typically it's going to say Replit, Lovable, one of those platforms to build out some sort of prototype that you can get started. Now you're going to have the prototype after it gives you the prompt. And typically the prompt that I use to create that is, you are an expert developer, you're an expert. Please give me a prompt understanding these are our core features and this is our core wow moment. Please give me a prompt to create a Replit or Lovable product for a prototype. And it'll give you the prompt and you'll take that and put it into one of those platforms. It'll start building it out. Then from there, I like to have the developers come on board. We have full-time developers on our team, but you might want to use Upwork or something like that, or you can use our developers. So you just message me and we can talk about it. But I like to hire developers and have them take the code out, fix the security problems because those platforms code it with extreme security problems, vulnerabilities. So fix the security problems, fix the authentication, and then refine it a little bit further to just give it that better user experience and that better workability, and then do the back end and the database and all of that. So within a couple of weeks, we have a workable prototype. Now at this point, you can validate before and go out and find some customers and get them to opt in before, or when you have a free prototype ready to go, you can ask some people to use it for free. That's totally up to you. If I had $0, 0 cents, or just $50 or $100 to invest, I would get validation first. But having a couple $1,000s to validate an idea, I can invest that into development time, and then that's fine. It's not going to break the bank. So it's totally up to you. If you want to validate and get customers to opt in or say that they want something ahead of time, that's up to you. Or you can build something that's clickable so they can click through it and check it out, and then maybe invest a couple $1,000s into building that. And then get some feedback from them. Understand, what they would like to see from it, what they'd be willing to pay for it, and different, things like that, if they would even pay for it. And then from there, you can get it production ready, get it ready to go, add the billing, add those different things. And typically I'll use an easy go high level or something like that, or just program Stripe directly into the app to make it the billing really easy for monthly recurring or annual billing. And again, I'm always focusing on the lean sprint, the fastest way to get to the solution. And then if you get caught up in some of these steps, you can always go back to ChatGPT in that thread and say, hey, how do I overcome this problem or this step in the process? And then just ask it. Now, at this point, you should have a few people that are interested, get feedback from them, ask them to make, video testimonials, things like that. Now we take that over to advertising. I like Facebook ads. It's a really great place to target an audience and get them on board. Some Google ads, you can test Google ads to get them working. Google ads are more complex, except for if you have a really good keyword that you can target for that has really low competition, then you can do that. But I like Facebook. Start getting some content out there, start building your organic content, and start getting that moving. And okay, so at this point, you have 5 different ways to get users onto your new platform that you created. One is organic content. You need to be creating organic content all the time. Two is cold outreach. There are great ways to do cold outreach. So typically I hire somebody to do some data mining for me, get some lead prospects for me, and then I'll use cold outreach email software to reach out to them and say, hey, how would you like a free trial of this? How would you like to have some sort of opportunity to benefit from the solution that I created? And then three is paid advertising. So typically I take what was working organically and I start putting some ads behind that to get more installs. And then four is you're going to get referrals and get some of that referral business going. So I like asking for referrals, affiliates, things like that. And then five is just doing all of these things and continuing to remarket, continuing to grow and do all those different things. So the top four ways. And then the fifth way is just growing and scaling everything that you did. Get every platform up and running, get your reporting, get all of your systems, get your retargeting, get all of that really growing and scaling. But typically it's those big four things that you're doing to just get started. And then the fifth is kind of that scaling framework of, reducing churn and getting more people into your app and more people engaging and, doing your email marketing and doing all those things to get everything growing. Now, at this point, 80% of those businesses fail in the first 18 months, according to Forbes.com. The reason why they fail is they'll pick one path, or they'll start chasing features, or they'll start spending too much time on one thing, and they're not just moving. You have to create daily content. You have to be doing the cold outreach. You have to be doing the demo calls. You have to be putting in the time. And often, money dries up. You try to hire too many people. You try to build too big of a team. You end up, kind of going off the rails. Pivoting, second questioning your audience, second questioning your product, feature chasing, etc. One of the really important things in this process is launching your MVP early. And Reid Hoffman said, if you are not embarrassed by your MVP when you launch it, you launch too late. So launch early and just keep growing and scaling. Now we have this pivotal moment in your business where you're starting to get a little bit of traction. Maybe you have your first 100 users on your platform. Now you have that situation. Do you raise money, or do you continue growing the app to try to self-fund the app? Now, this is a fork, and often people choose the wrong path. And what I have to say is one of the hardest things that you're going to do in your business is chasing money and chasing investors, because when they come to the table, the first thing that's on their mind is, give me all the reasons why I'm going to say no. So they'll ask 10, 20 questions. And if any of those answers give them a yellow flag, they are going to say no to the investment deal. And they're going to tell you get more traction and so forth. And you're going to chase these people down. I've done hundreds of these calls, and the revenue is never good enough. I don't care if we're at 50 grand a month, we're at 100 grand a month. It always seems like they want to say no. So for me, I like self-funding the platforms. I like the platform being able to bring in so much money that we don't need investor money. And then at that point, you can look at raising debt, where you can take on debt and then help scale your business from there through more advertising and more growth. But I like scaling my ventures without investors, if possible. When I do look for investors, I look for those investors that would have the strategic connection into the product that could help us grow and accelerate even faster by accessing new levers of revenue, by accessing new customer bases, by referral deals, affiliate deals. So when I do look for those investment partners, that's what I look for. So now you're starting to grow. You're starting to grow your business. The key thing is your hires next. Up until this point, you just have you, and you're the one that really needs to have your hands on the throttle. You need to get good at Facebook ads. You need to get good at marketing your business, creating content, doing the demo calls, doing all those things. But once you get to the point that you start scaling, you need to put some key hires in there. You're going to want to have somebody take over marketing. You're going to want to have somebody take over development. You're going to want somebody to take over operations and, fulfillment and customer success and all of that. So typically you'll have 10, 20 people on the team once you start getting to that 8-figure mark. But again, this is 0.01% of companies to get to that point. Why do we get to that point over and over again? That is because we've been there time and time again, and we kind of understand the problems that, we're going to face, and we can get through those challenges much faster than most people, right? So you're going to come to these pitfalls each step along the way. Now, I do recommend having a mentor along the way. I recommend having somebody that's seen those pitfalls and can look at the ads, because oftentimes you'll put up an ad, spend $100 and say, hey, Facebook ads don't work for us, we need to pivot. And maybe it was just one little headline or one little thing you needed to tweak in your messaging that would have changed your business forever. Because again, it's a lot of little tweaks that we make along the way that make the biggest impact. But again, this is pretty high level. We have an entire course that goes through this. We have a mentoring program. We have an advisory program. We have a done for you program. We can help you along the way. And I have a ton of content that goes through each one of these things. Actually, each point is about a 30, 45-minute video on exactly how to do each one of these points. And we really don't have all that time here. But I wanted to go through this and talk about our idea to exit framework. And it really starts with the idea. I've had friends and I've seen people go through this process, and they do their first venture and they struggle with it for a year, and then they have their great idea. They validate that idea. They get down to the point to say, the demand for this is great, we need to build it. They build it in a matter of weeks or even days, get it online, get it into the hands of 100 people or so. They love it. They make testimonials, and then it starts growing rapidly. And I've seen businesses struggle for years working on the wrong product or the wrong idea. And then they get that right idea, they get the right demand, they get the right product market fit, and everything becomes so much easier. So if you feel like you're spinning your wheels in your business and in your product now, maybe it's time we can have a conversation. Like, just connect with me, mattganzak.com. Let's talk through it, because maybe it's just a little tweak that you need in your business. But if you have a great idea and it has a great demand and a great opportunity, maybe it's time to move on that. But move a little bit differently this time, validating the idea, validating the process, moving faster in your product development. And all too often, people that build their apps will say, that took me 6 months to get it online. It took me 8 months to get our product online. And they're just burning cash and not getting moving to traction. But you can get moving to traction in days, hours, weeks, be online within a month. When you can move like that, you can validate ideas faster. In the same time it took to build that one product, you could build 20 products and validate 20 products. Not to say that you should do that. You should definitely take one to exit and maybe stack the next one. Like, really, once you start scaling and bring people on, then maybe you do the next one, and then you start layering on these wins where you can maybe build 3 to 5 new startups per year. And when you get really good, like us, we want to build 50 next year. That's our goal. But my point is, really hone in on that idea of validation, because it's that point that most people are jumping the gun to start into development when they haven't really drilled down to the idea, the problem, the solution, and who this is for. The better you drill down to that, the better you force ChatGPT or whatever AI software, chat software you're using to validate that, the stronger and the more time you put into that to make sure you have a great product, the better success and less headaches and less problems you're going to have later on. Again, one of the things you really need to do is focus on the technical challenges and your wow moment. So a wow moment is what your product does and that wow delivery that's created. So you're either disrupting something people already do, where it might take 6 months to a year to get that wow moment for your product or for the thing of which they do already, but your product can do it faster. That's a wow moment. So a lot of my products, I do focus on that wow moment. I focus on how can I bring that wow moment forward as fast as possible. So when those 100 people tested and they're like, wow, this is insane. I didn't know that you could do that. Or I didn't expect it to happen that fast. Or wow, that's an amazing return of what it is that I was looking for. Again, this is why I really don't like building CRMs or things that are super complex. I like really focusing on the apps that create that instant gratification and that wow moment. So as you're working through your idea, focus on your wow moment. How can you bring that forward? How can you give that to them in fractions of minutes or a fraction of a second, essentially? How can you remove the friction and get to that wow moment as fast as physically possible? And once you do, how can you replicate that over and over again through advertising to have these people have the wow moment over and over and over and over and over again? It's like the app that I built that I was talking about on one of the earlier episodes. We had 350,000 users with zero ad spend. We just used the referral network. So what I did is I had a one-click install. So with one click, they installed, it connected their account, and it just started running automatically. It started like we made this nice automation that was running to show what it was that we did. And then bam, within 3 minutes or so, it would show you the result. And the whole time you could see it running. And, we really made that process really fast. And then you saw it running and then you got your wow moment. It gave you the response right there. And then we asked, hey, if you like this, you can share it with your friends. Like click this button. And it was a social sharing button to share out on that social media, of which that platform was. And the whole purpose of the platform was for that platform. So we got more people to sign up, and one install and one successful run would get 10 more people to sign up. And then those 10 people would go through and like it and share it to their page. And then 10 more people would sign up from that. So it started just cascading to have tons and tons and tons of people sign up, just because I went from this is what it did, this is who we're serving, this is the problem we're overcoming, and this is the wow moment. Within 5 minutes, they got their wow moment, share it out with a friend, and then that turned into more users. So think that way. Use ChatGPT to think that way. How can you create the wow moment? How can you overcome that problem solution? Who are we solving this problem for? Take that language, ask ChatGPT to write the language for that avatar, build out your pages, and create those wow moments. And you can add it into Replit, Lovable, whatever. Use some of these AI softwares to do some cold outreach, get some ads going, get some content going, and you're on your way to running an 8-figure business. Step by step by step. So again, if you want our mentoring, advisory, or done-for-you solutions, mattganzak.com. You can click whichever one identifies with you. We can connect. If you don't know which one, you could just go there and fill out the form, and I'm more than happy to hop on a call and answer any questions. So thank you for tuning in. This is the Idea to Exit podcast with Matt Ganzak. We will see you on the next one.